Hey, it's recording. It's a good opportunity to show off how clean my room is. Actually, I can show this carefully. As you can see, everything's all nice, neatly organized. Even the closet went through quite the renovations. My props down there. All sorts of props. I even forgot I had this. I didn't even know I had a toy all the time. Diane, find the name of that restaurant. It had damn fine pie. One more thing. Gotta find out what these trees are. I'm pretty sure they're Douglas firs, but they seem a little more spiky. Okay, enough fooling around. Probably blowing out the speakers at this point. Okay, so first things first. I become Blogger of the Month for June on ManicExpression.com, and nobody tells me. This is why communication is key. No, still, I'll take it either way, even though I didn't know at all. I'm dead serious. I just found out today I was Blogger of the Month last month on ManicExpression.com. Nobody told me, nobody said anything, no one said a message saying, congratulations! I literally found out today. I guess that's good on my part, just let me know next time. That's all I'm gonna say, but I'll take it regardless. I had a good day anyway, and I tip it all off with a good movie. So I just came back from seeing the new Spider-Man Homecoming film, and my sister and her boyfriend were there as well. And with the track record that these summer movies have been going lately, because I avoided like a whole bulk of them last month, and even a couple in May as well, we're at sort of like the midpoint of the summer, where things either get better or worse. And considering what's coming next weekend, which I'm really looking forward to, if you don't know me by now very well. And in terms of this one, this is another one I was really excited and really hyped to see when I heard about it coming out. And to put it in perspective, just to make like a long story short, if you really want to know the skinny about this movie, it's good. It's definitely one of Marvel's best so far. Not a masterpiece, but in terms of just a straightforward good Marvel movie, if I had to pick three basic films, three basic Marvel films, I'd probably have to say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, there's another one that I really loved, I'm trying to remember. It's either Civil War or Winter Soldier, one of those two. I know there's like, a whole bulk of them. But no, as I was trying to say, if I had like a basic three favorite Marvel comic adaptations, this one would probably be in there. It'd be hard to topple Guardians 2 because, Guardians Volume 2, because there was so much I connected with that movie, and I think James Gunn has probably the bigger amount of freedom than anyone else in these movies. So I'd probably have to say it's a close bet, but if I just had like a basic 3 or basic 5, Spider-Man Homecoming would be pretty much in that range and vicinity. And just to compare, in terms of how I feel about the Tobey Maguire films, I like them. All three of them, even with the third one being not that good. I know people have their love and hate relationship with the Tobey Maguire films, and that's fine. But I grew up on I remember seeing these back when I was like 11 or so. I remember seeing the first two in the drive-in and had a good time with that. And any movie that I saw at the drive-in I considered immediately nostalgic, whether it be good or bad. Hell, I actually have some good memories of the first one, and oh man, I remember there was this weird mail-in thing where if you ate like 20 Hershey Candy bars and send it to the UPCs, you get like a Spider-Man poster. I still have that in the closet somewhere. I don't want to dig her out. I don't want to dig it out at this point or cause anything because it's been tacked and taped to the ceiling so many times prior to moving here. So I'm gonna leave that as a relic for now. It's my King Kong poster I got in 2005. But I think the Tom McGuire films are fine, but after rewatching one of them recently, I think I can easily pinpoint the problem as to why people are not so hot about them. The Tobey Maguire trilogy, per se. And that's primarily because Spider-Man is too old in that film. And, to be fair, Blade and X-Men were the ones that kind of got the ball rolling. Spider-Man was kind of like the big refraction, like, okay, now people can actually kind of make an enjoyable comic book movie from Marvel, even though we've seen DC and blah 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 blah. But then when it got to, like, I think the third one, that's where the limits were really pushed. That's when Sam Raimi did all he could. We know about the disaster stories, we'll get into it. It's so bad, there's even, like, an editor's cut on this one. I'm not even kidding. Oh, here it is. See, right here. It advertises an editor's cut. Which, I will admit, it's a little better than the theatrical cut. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It doesn't fix all the problems. You still get Peter dancing around as emo Spider-Man, but it's a better structured film, and there's certain things I do think work well. So I'd say definitely the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3, but I don't think that's, like, the worst one. I think it's the weakest. But then we get into the Andrew Garfield films, that's a whole other ballpark. People love them, I despise them with a great rage. I'm not going to go too in-depth on those, I'm just going to say I really think they did some things with the Andrew Garfield films which really didn't gel really well for me, especially the second one, which I'm not even going to defend or even try to reason with. That's a whole other train wreck of its own method. But at least I can say the first one was a coherent story, despite, again, having too many problems, though. I don't like the Andrew Garfield films, but even then, he had, like, two different Spider-Mans that had their pros and cons. This one, I really can't think of a single negative with. Maybe there's a couple of nitpicks I do have with it, in terms of, like, certain running gags, and maybe some weird clunkiness in, like, the first 10 minutes where they're trying to explain everything, which, even then, they do very well. I would say, aside from that, this is probably, I'm not gonna lie, the best Spider-Man we've got. Tom Holland is in the suit, and I think they really did a good service by making Spider-Man a high schooler. It really taps into the pressures of a teenager and the fact that they have two different sets going on. They have the school set and the superhero set, and I think they were addressed really, really well. There's certain scenes where clearly Peter wants to, you know, be social, do stuff, but he's so clinged on to this responsibility he has. There's no, like, you know, oh, Uncle Ben stuff. That's completely did away with, which is interesting, but the way they take it in a different direction is so perfect. It really is. It's you know, near perfect, I should probably say. This is in the trailer, so I can kind of ruin it. There's a bit where, like, his friend finds out that he's the Super Spider-Man, blah, 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 and there's a lot of risks they do take with that. There's, like, a scene where he tries to get Parker to appear as Spider-Man to this big party, and that doesn't go over so well. And it really taps into the idea of, you know, you have this responsibility of, you know, being this person and this protector, and then on the other hand, there's you, and trying to figure out who you are, this identity you have. And that really flows very well. I think they really play around with that quite a lot, to the point it dives into the aspects of Peter Parker, not only just emotionally, but even psychologically. There's a scene that they pull straight out of the comic. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to go too deep into spoilers. I'm going to try to avoid anything with spoilers. There's a sequence that's imitated from the comic where he's trying to get out of this situation. He's literally buried under rubble, and he's struggling to, you know, get free out of it. And here he's sort of, asking himself, well, which side do I stand on here? Am I Peter Parker? Am I Spider-Man? And the way they play that out is so beautifully done. And here's the other problems with the other Spider-Man films. They're just literally picking and plopping, and saying, okay, we need to have this here, or otherwise fans are really going to jab at us about this. We have to have Gwen Stacy here because Gwen Stacy's big in the universe. We have to have this thing here, and Spider-Man 2, where it's like, we need this villain and that villain because this is part of the universe. They don't do that. They don't do that. And I thank those 6 writers that wrote the screenplay and the script and everything for doing this, because they don't do that. They put things in at the right minute, and just when you think they're gonna, rehash this and this, they do it in a different direction. I mean, let's really think about this. In the previous Spider-Man movies, they were always fighting in the city. They were always fighting in, New York and stuff, and there's damage going on. They don't do that. Oh no. The action scenes literally go in a different direction. Okay, there's a bit where he, like, saves people, in an elevator, but, that's in the trailer, so I can kind of talk about that. But even then, the stuff they do in this film, they're literally trying to do some new stuff. There's a great sequence near the climax involving an airplane, and he's trying to cling onto it for dear life, and he doesn't have the special suit, and he's got to work with what he's got, and that's so well done. I was, like, literally on the edge of my seat watching, like, is he gonna fall off? What's going on? So yeah, I was really surprised by that. I thought that was actually really well done. It's just so non-stop, and you're just literally asking yourself, okay, this has happened, what's next? And they keep, putting one thing after another, and it's more exciting and exciting and exciting. It's like a thrill ride you don't want to see end, and it's perfect. Michael Keaton as the Vulture, great. I like the backstory they introduce. I like how they don't show too much of his character, and how that plays into later on. Without going too much into detail, he's pretty much trying to, make the best for his family and so forth, and that's why he's doing all this. And then when they have this big reveal of the kind of family he has, and why he's, doing this sort of thing, trying to steal all these weapons from S.H.I.E.L.D. and Avengers and stuff like that, when it really comes into play, that's when things get really complex. I thought that was really interesting. And the way that Peter Parker goes up against him is really nice. It's like the same basic factoid they have for Tim Burton's Batman. Batman comes across the Joker before he becomes the Joker. Batman, goes up against the Joker a couple of times when the Joker has all these, like, different gases and everything, all these, hygiene products that are killing people and everything. And then you have him going up against the Joker when he's trying to save Vicky Vale from the restaurant. And then you have the moment where he's Bruce Wayne, and it's Bruce Wayne against the Joker, and then at the end it all comes together when it's Bruce Wayne and the Joker, when it's Batman and the Joker. And without going into too much detail, it's kind of like that. It's really, really kind of like that, and it's played up perfectly. He meets up with the Vulture a couple of times, and they not only, fight physically, but even psychologically, and it's perfect. There's a great scene where he goes into his lair, and he's out of the Vulture costume, and there's this, 2-on-2, like, you shouldn't be doing this, it's wrong, oh, I have to do this, blah, 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 and there's, like, these little subtle things they throw in there that, add on more reasons, but they don't go too far into it. There's like, a beer bottle, and it's... the way they do it, they don't over-explain things, and when they need to explain things, they do explain things. There's a bit where I'm a little annoyed. While I do like the idea of organic web shooters, which, I blame the Sam Raimi films for doing, is like, it's actually a pretty cool idea, just spinning webs and stuff. Here, they go back to the comic tradition of them being mechanical, and it's built by a formula and stuff. And the way they explain that has worked pretty fine. There's a scene where he has, like, all these notes and stuff, and he's still testing around with, like, chemicals and stuff, and you're wondering, oh, is he going to blow up the classroom because of this? And thankfully, they do explain that he has a very ingenious mind, and the reason for his awkwardness is because that he's very smart, he's very pretentious, but at the same time he's still trapped between those two worlds, being the social person and the smart person, you know, him being the basic kid or him being the superhero. And I'm really going to admit this, it's done so much better here than it is in the Tobey Maguire, in the previous Sam Raimi films, and even the Andrew Garfield ones. Because with the Sam Raimi ones, the problem is that when you really look at like the romance between Peter and Mary Jane in the Sam Raimi versions, it's cute, but it's not played up serious. It's played up like two little puppies trying to get at each other and stuff. It's puppy love. And even when I was rewatching Spider-Man 3, I noticed that. Like, there wasn't a big connection because they're just looking at each other with big googly eyes and everything. It felt like it was meant for high schoolers. And I think with this one, they really gel it pretty well because there's peer pressure, there's a bully, but he's not like constantly beating him up or something like that. He's kind of going after him for certain reasons here and there. It's not the basic generic leather jacket kind, and that's kind of a nice big break, and there's a little payoff at the end to that, which is pretty good. And even the best friend that they give for Peter, mind you, I've not read too many of the Spider-Man comics. I only know a good bulk of things, so some of this is kind of new to me. Even his best friend is kind of helpful at times, you know, when they need to like examine the suit that Tony Stark gives them and stuff like that, or you know, dealing with advice and trying to figure things out, and that works out pretty well. This was just a solid film. And again, I can't really think of any nitpicks or any problems aside of maybe the first 10 minutes because they're trying to explain everything, like the Civil War from Peter Parker's point of view, and you know how he gets the suit and all that sort of stuff, and his ties and connections with Tony Stark and some of the rules and regulations of the suit and all that sort of stuff. And that's really the only problem I have with it, because they throw this exposition at you, and then finally when they start the high school scenes, that's when the movie really kicks into gear, and that's when it really gets interesting. And I felt that was more the cornerstone of the whole thing. When it was referencing like other Marvel films here and there, that is really the only gripe I have with it, because they're literally throwing these things in here, like one of the members of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like going through all the inventory things. It's like, okay, we have the Hulkbuster from Age of Ultron, we have Thor's magic belt, which we have not seen in the other movies, and it's like, yeah, I get it, you're throwing this in there because you want to connect us to the big Marvel universe. And I'm a little tired of that. It's nice to have Easter eggs. It's nice to have little things. Like in Guardians Volume 2, they had the Watchers making a cameo, and that was funny because of what they did with that. But here, I feel like they're just throwing these in there because it's like, it's part of the big Marvel universe, this is connected, and without giving too much away, there's one of the superheroes does like these constant PSAs with the high school and stuff, and even if there's like a really funny payoff for that in the post-credit sequence, it gets a little irritating. There's certain running gags that do outstay their welcome, but not to the point where it's like, argh! At least they know how to limit and focus on those things. The humor works perfectly. It's not too cartoony. It's not too over the top. It's more like Diet John Hughes, but in a good way. There's a scene where one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. members is trying to talk to Peter, and there's this kid that's trying to go to the bathroom. And they're just sort of awkwardly standing like, oh, come on, kid, keep it up, we gotta do this. And then there's stuff like that. So, I'd say on the whole front, this is probably a very solid film. I want to go deeper into this movie and really talk about what makes it so perfect. But I have to give away the whole film, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to give away the whole movie. This is something that you really gotta see. So if you really liked the previous Spider-Man films, and you want, like, a refresh, check this one out. Really, really check this one out. It's definitely worth your time. It's weird. Most of the comic book films this year of the summer are doing far much more better than some of the other properties, with the exception of one or two. I'd say definitely check this out. It's definitely worth your time. But if you didn't like the previous incarnations, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's not going to be good, it's going to suck. No, it's fine. It's actually really fine. I think they balance things out really well. It's a very cleverly written, very well-made movie that taps into what it's like to have dual roles. And instead of doing that whole thing where, like, oh, the villain's all tortured and has this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, they don't do that, thank God. They really show the two sides of the coin, and that's perfect. They show it from the villain standpoint and the and the hero standpoint. The fact that they have responsibilities not just within the superhero and villain reign, but even outside that makes their lives difficult. And I've honestly never felt that in any of the Spider-Man movies. Maybe the second one with Dr. Octopus played by Alfred Montalena, but even here it's done so much better. And thank you for giving us a Spider-Man movie where the villain doesn't get killed off. Thank you so much. Because I'm a little tired of that cliche. The whole idea of, oh, he's evil, evil must die. Thank you for not doing that. I appreciate it so much. I wonder if that counts as a spoiler. Go see it. Go see it. I've said too much. I gotta end the video now. I've said too much. Go. Oh my god, I just stopped the video. Go see it. It's worth it. Trust me. Oh, see you next week for War of the Planet of the Apes. You have no idea how excited I am for that one. Oh, right, I almost forgot to mention. Little funny side story. Previously, when I was waiting for my sister, I was just waiting there in the front of the building of the theater, and a lot of people were passing by, and they noticed I was wearing this shirt, which is, if you can't see it pretty well, it's Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. And so I was, opening the door for them. Some of them were like, oh, thanks. Oh, by the way, nice shirt. Random little tidbit. Just thought I'd throw it out there. This has been a very special Pointless Post-Credit. Thank you.